Title: Ambition with a Plan: How Andrew Carnegie Set Big Goals and Reached Them. Part 1. Problems, Significance, Causes, Early Data, Effects, and Warning Signs. Introduction. Andrew Carnegie began life with little money but a clear desire to rise. He set huge targets and then worked steadily toward them. This part explores the early problems he faced, why having clear goals mattered, what underlying causes made his path difficult, simple statistics that showed the stakes, the effects of ambition in motion, and the early warning signs he watched for. Early problems Carnegie faced. Carnegie started as a poor immigrant boy with limited schooling. Jobs were low-paying and unstable, and factories or offices often offered little chance to move up. Technology and business were changing fast, so sticking to one skill risked becoming obsolete. Without capital or powerful backers, gaining access to better opportunities was hard. Those limits made it easy to lose hope or accept small dreams instead of aiming high. Why clear goals mattered. Setting big targets focused Carnegie's energy. Goals helped him choose which skills to learn, which people to meet, and where to take risks. A clear aim turned vague ambition into a step-by-step plan. For example, wanting to control parts of the steel business led him to learn telegraphy, move into railroad work, and then invest in iron and steel. Goals gave purpose to long hours and small sacrifices. Root causes that made the climb hard. Several forces worked against ambitious plans. Social class and limited schooling blocked access to some jobs. Rapid industrial change meant many trades were shrinking while new ones grew. Credit and investment were available mostly to those with connections. Human limits like fear of failure, impatience, and short attention spans also undermined big plans. Together, these causes made steady progress difficult without discipline and planning. Simple early data that showed opportunity and risk. In Carnegie's time, wages for skilled clerks and managers rose faster than for manual labor, so moving from the shop floor into office or management paid off. Demand for rails and iron climbed as cities and railroads expanded, signaling where growth would be. Firms that invested in efficient furnaces and integrated supply chains grew much faster than small workshops. These basic numbers pointed Carnegie towards steel as a high-value target. Early effects of pursuing big goals. Ambition changed Carnegie's choices and results. He took jobs that taught him how business worked, saved and invested earnings, and used early opportunities to build credibility. Over time, his small moves, learning, saving, and networking, compounded into the capital, knowledge, and reputation needed to buy mills and scale operations. The immediate effect was slow progress. The long-term effect was the creation of a powerful industrial firm. Signs and warning signals Carnegie monitored. Carnegie watched clear signals that told him when to act. Falling prices for iron would mean lower profit unless costs fell. Rising demand for rails or bridges signaled a chance to expand production. Trouble signs included rising debt levels, sudden supplier failures, or rapid turnover among skilled workers. By paying attention to these signs, he could accelerate investment when the math looked right and slow down when risks rose. What comes next? Part 2 will lay out Carnegie's step-by-step model, how he turned huge goals into daily actions, how he balanced risk with saving, how he built teams and systems, and practical steps students can use to set and achieve big aims themselves. Part 3 will cover results, mistakes he made, and final lessons on ambition, planning, and responsibility. Part 2. Carnegie's step-by-step model, turning big goals into daily action. Introduction. Andrew Carnegie did not reach his huge aims by luck. He used clear steps that anyone can copy. Set the goal, break it down, learn what matters, save and invest, build the right team, measure progress, and adapt. This part explains each step and gives simple examples so you can try the approach in school projects or future careers. Step 1. Pick one clear, big goal. Carnegie chose a single ambitious aim to build a leading iron and steel business. A big goal directs energy and makes choices easier. For your projects, write one sentence that says what success looks like in 1 year. Keep the goal specific so you know when you hit it. Step 2. Break the goal into smaller checkpoints. Carnegie did not try to buy a mill on day 1. He set smaller targets, learn telegraphy, move into railroad clerk's work, save money, make small investments, then buy a stake in an ironworks. Break a big goal into weekly and monthly steps so progress is visible and momentum builds. Step 3. Learn the key skills and industry language. Carnegie read constantly and worked where important information flowed. He learned technical terms, contract basics, and how freight and prices worked. You should study the main skills for your goal. Read articles, take a class, and ask professionals good questions. Knowledge turns opportunities into choices. Step 4. Choose roles that expose you to decisions. Carnegie moved into jobs where he could see deals and finances. If you want to lead, pick roles that let you observe planning, budgeting, or negotiations. Even volunteer roles count. Exposure teaches how real decisions are made and who makes them. Step 5. Save, reinvest, and build financial options. Carnegie saved wages and reinvested early profits into new ventures. That gave him capital to act when a good deal appeared. For students, this means setting aside small savings, investing time in skill building, and treating earnings as tools for future options, not just spending. Step 6. Build a network of mentors and partners. Carnegie cultivated relationships with bankers, managers, and engineers. These contacts became sources of capital, advice, and partnerships later. Build real connections by helping others, asking thoughtful questions, and staying reliable. A good network multiplies your reach. Step 7. Pilot before you scale. Before buying major assets, Carnegie tested ideas with smaller investments and partnerships. Try the same. Run a small pilot project, measure results, and learn. Pilots reduce risk and show what works before you commit large time or money. Step 8. Standardize what works and document processes. Carnegie standardized efficient practices across his plants so gains repeated. In your work, write step-by-step guides for repeatable tasks. Standard processes let teams scale without chaos and free you to focus on improvements. Step 9. Hire for gaps and lead with systems. As Carnegie grew, he brought in managers with skills he did not have. Know your limits and hire or partner where needed. Leading also means creating systems, schedules, reporting, and simple rules that keep work steady when you're focused elsewhere. Step 10. Measure the right things and keep score. Carnegie watched costs per ton of steel, delivery times, and profit margins. Pick 3 meaningful measures for your goal: time to finish a task, error rate, or savings rate, and review them weekly. Numbers show progress and highlight when to change course. Step 11. Time your big moves with patience and readiness. Carnegie moved fast when conditions favored him, cheap assets, rising demand, or cost advantages, and held back when risks were high. Learn to read simple market signals for your field and act when odds are better than average. Patience plus readiness is powerful. Step 12. Reinvest successes and protect downside. Carnegie used profits to buy better equipment and to weather bad years. When you have wins, save part to build a buffer for setbacks. Protecting downside keeps options open and prevents panic decisions later. Step 13. Learn from setbacks quickly. Carnegie faced failures and strikes. He studied mistakes and changed systems. After any setback, list what failed, why, and one change to test next. Fast learning stops repeating errors and improves long-term progress. Step 14. Keep ethics and reputation in view. Carnegie built wealth, but also faced public criticism over labor practices. Ambition without responsibility risks long-term harm. Treat partners and teams fairly, honor contracts, and consider community effects as part of planning. Concrete example of Carnegie's path in simple steps. Learn telegraphy and office work to understand rail freight. Save part of your wage and make a small investment in a local iron merchant. Use contacts from the railroad office to get better freight terms for that merchant. When profits rise, partner in a small mill. Pilot improvements, then scale by buying better furnaces and standardizing processes. Practical student exercise you can start this week. Write one big goal for your school year. Break it into 3 monthly checkpoints. Identify one skill to learn and one person to ask for advice. Save a small portion of any earnings or set aside time as investment hours to work on the goal. Run a tiny test that proves one part of your plan. Common pitfalls and how Carnegie avoided them. Overreach without proof. Carnegie used pilots and partners first. No savings buffer. He reinvested and kept reserves. Ignoring people. He later faced labor issues, learned to balance ambition with fair treatment. No measurement. Carnegie tracked costs and margins tightly. What success looks like after following the model. You'll have clearer choices, a small but real track record, growing skills, and a network that opens new doors. Big goals become achievable through steady, measured steps, exactly how Carnegie turned early work into a major industry position. Preview of Part 3. Part 3 will look at the long outcomes of Carnegie's ambition, how his methods reshaped industry and society, where he made mistakes, and the final lessons you can carry into life, plus a one-page checklist to use every week to keep your ambition on track. Part 3. Outcomes, mistakes, weekly checklist, and final lessons. Introduction. Andrew Carnegie's step-by-step ambition changed whole industries and lives. This final part looks at the long outcomes of his approach, the mistakes and trade-offs he made, a practical weekly checklist you can use to manage big goals, and clear lessons you can apply in school, work, or future projects. Long-term outcomes of Carnegie's ambition. Carnegie's steady planning and reinvestment helped create a huge, efficient steel industry. Cheaper steel made railroads, bridges, and skyscrapers more affordable and sped up U.S. industrial growth. His firms standardized production and pushed engineering advances, lowering costs across many businesses. Economically, that meant faster infrastructure growth and more jobs in construction and manufacturing. Socially, it also concentrated wealth and power in fewer hands, which led to debates about fairness and worker conditions. Positive ripple effects beyond business. Because steel became cheaper and more available, other industries expanded. Shipbuilding, rail transport, urban construction, and tools manufacturing all grew faster. New highways, rail lines, and buildings reshaped cities and towns. Carnegie's investments in libraries, education, and research later supported broader social gains, though these came after his greatest commercial power was established. Major mistakes and trade-offs to learn from. Carnegie's drive for efficiency and scale sometimes ignored worker safety and fair pay. Harsh labor practices and clashes with unions, including violent strikes, damaged lives and public trust. Concentrating power into one firm reduced competition and gave the company outsized influence over prices and communities. These outcomes show a key trade-off. Rapid scale and cost control can create social costs that leaders must address responsibly. Common errors people make when copying Carnegie's ambition. Mistake 1. Skipping the pilot stage. Jumping to big investments without small tests wastes money. Mistake 2. Forgetting people. Systems and profits matter, but ignoring worker well-being and culture causes blow-ups. Mistake 3. No buffer. Reinvesting everything without reserves leaves you vulnerable to shocks. Mistake 4. Measuring the wrong things. Focusing only on revenue while ignoring margins, quality, and retention misleads strategy. Mistake 5. Letting ambition override ethics. Short-term gains from cut corners often create long-term costs. A one-page weekly checklist to keep big goals on track. 1. Review one big goal and 3 checkpoints for the quarter. 2. Log progress on this week's checkpoint. What got done, what stalled. 3. Read one article or short report about the industry or field you care about. 4. Reach out to one contact with a helpful note or question. 5. Run one small test or pilot related to your goal and record the result. 6. Save or allocate a small amount into your project reserve, time or money. 7. Note one people issue, team morale, training need, and one action to address it. 8. Record one lesson learned and one change to try next week. How to use the checklist in school or a first job. Pick a project, organizing an event, building an app, or starting a club. Use the checklist each Sunday to keep momentum. The pilot step might be a mini event or a small feature test. The contact step builds your network. Over time, these small weekly acts compound into real progress. How to handle setbacks and preserve momentum. Expect mistakes and use them as data. When a pilot fails, pause, list what went wrong, adapt the plan, and try a different small test. Keep your reserve so a single setback does not force a panic decision. Celebrate small recoveries to keep morale high. Ethics and community responsibility in ambition. Ambition should include rules, fair treatment of team members, honesty with partners, and attention to public impact. Carnegie's legacy shows that giving back through better conditions, public spaces, or education strengthens long-term success and social trust. Measuring real success beyond headlines. Track sustainability, not just scale. Useful measures include profit per unit, customer or client retention, safety incidents, team turnover, and community feedback. Over time, these metrics show whether growth is healthy. Final lessons: what to remember and practice. Set a big, clear goal, but break it into checkpoints you can hit. Learn both the technical skills and the business context that matter. Work where decisions and information flow so you can learn fast. Save and reinvest, but keep a reserve to manage risk. Pilot small changes before major investments. Hire or partner to fill gaps in your skills and knowledge. Measure the right things: unit economics, quality, and people health. Treat ethics and worker welfare as strategic, not optional. Use a weekly routine to make steady progress and avoid distraction. Learn from setbacks quickly and adjust the plan. Closing encouragement. Ambition with a plan is powerful. Carnegie shows how small, steady steps combined with learning, saving, and smart timing can lead to big results. But his story also reminds us to balance drive with care for people and community. Start with one clear goal, test one small idea this week, and use the checklist to keep going. Over time, your steady choices will add up into real achievement.